Welcome back to the Hot Air Show.
Hello again. We've got something, another blast from the past actually for you all to watch, because everybody's been asking for old guns.
And that's us.
yeah, we are a blast from we've got well, as you can see in front of you, we've got a Logan S16s. This is the S model, sports model.
Sports.
But anyway, as soon as you're the expert on, you know all about. Well, yeah. I know a little bit about. We used to sell Sweet 16s many years ago. But go on, give us a potted history.
I'll fill you in on history. Now, this is as close as I know it. So there might be, if there's any errors, put them in the comments below and your opinion. But basically, the rifle started as in 2014 when Airgun Sports, when they were AGS,
yeah.
when they were leaving the SHOT Show, which I think was in Miami, when they were doing an Orlando SHOT Show. They were walking out, and Richard North, who was one of the head honchos, said to Jeff Cooper and Simon Gibbon, who's the designer with him, said, "Oh, look at that! That's the Gunpowder Stealth."
2004.
2004. Did I say 40?
Yeah, 2004, guys.
Yeah, 2004.
It's older than you think.
Yeah, 2004. They said, wouldn't it be cool to have a Gunpowder Stealth with a multi-shot? And they thought it would, and they went away, went back to UK, and they designed it. And the original gun was designed by Jim Hogan, with a little bit of help from Simon Gibbon, I understand, to do a pump action rifle. The prototype
was that grip there, wasn't it?
It was, and there have been a few converted, I think, by Jim afterwards, because I think it's okay to have one as a private project, but it falls foul of the Firearms Act. When they outlawed pump action shotguns, air guns got caught up in it. I don't think anybody planned on that happening, but Jim apparently showed it to his registered firearms dealer and said, "Is this okay?" And the firearms dealer apparently said, "Yes, I think that's all right." The firearms officer said that's okay. Went away and then came back with a team and raided them and took it away. So clearly it wasn't okay. And they had to redesign it. And they redesigned it into a cocking bolt on the side, which is kind of a shame because it would have been so cool to have a pump action weapon.
I agree, and the worst thing is that redesign caused an untold amount of problems, because I don't know whether anybody's ever had a Sweet 16, but the problem with these is they've got a little catch on the fronts, and that little catch there actually needed to be, it used to go home like that. In fact, just let me turn it around, Russ. That used to go all the way forward, and there's a little bit there, I don't know whether you can see that movement. If you only got it to there, it would jam.
Yeah.
And when it jammed, oh my god, it was an utter nightmare. What you had to make sure of is to hold that, push it all the way forward and release it. If you didn't do that, my god, you were into a world of pain.
Yeah, well, it was a last minute retro design, wasn't it?
It was a last minute design, and that, I wouldn't say it was a design flaw, it was just, it wasn't foolproof. So I'm not saying you're a fool if you bought one, but I tell you what,
well, there was all sorts of problems. I do remember one of the early AMTA meetings, Airgun manufacturers, trades and AMTA meetings, where Richard North was being sort of kind of dragged over the coals over this, and they were saying, "We don't want assault-looking air guns. It's going to cause." And look at the world now. We've got them everywhere. But
we all love tacticals.
Yeah, I know. But back in the day, they didn't want the name tactical to be used anywhere, sniper to be used anywhere. It was all bad juju. And we also they didn't want a gun that had was rapid firing assault weapon. And I can remember Richard saying, "Well, you know, if the trade thinks we shouldn't do it, then we won't do it." Of course, they did it anyway, but they were already too far along to do anything else. But it was very popular. You did see an awful lot of them going out. The first version was a bit of a disaster. There's all sorts of moving parts in there that damages O-rings and seals. And then this is the second version. This is the S version, isn't it?
Yeah, the S version, they sort of got halfway to getting it, or maybe 2/3 of the way to getting it completely right. Yeah. The first ones were so bad. In fact, actually, if you're actually thinking about picking one of these up, the first thing to do is make sure if you can get the one with the S written after it, if possible. And actually, if you really want one of these, go for the Edgun Brothers version.
Yeah, they did a last version after
virtually redesigned from scratch.
Yes, I think that was Simon Gibbon did that one. So he went to work back on it because it's these were made in Serbia. The parts were made in Serbia, assembled in the UK, and he knew the Serbian manufacturer, I think. So he did some design work on that, and they turned into a proper bolt. They added a Picatinny on the top, which went all the way to the front. Much nicer rifle.
Stainless steel bits inside.
That's exactly right. Everything worked.
Weighed a ton.
Weighed a ton. Cost
a lot.
So I think that was it at the end of the day, and Edgar Brothers have quietly deleted it, I think.
Well, they basically when the price went up, I think it went up to about 800. I think when they first came out, they were £399. You might, if you bought one, remind me. But
I think great value.
I think they were £400, and do you know what? Honestly, they sold like hotcakes.
Yeah.
It was unique and it was new. It was absolutely crap.
The magazine is intended to replicate an assault weapon going in, so that goes in, clips in, so you clip the magazine.
I hope you can see that, but in fact, actually, that's where the 16 came from, because if you had a look, in fact, actually, they were Axor magazines, weren't they? They were web FX.
Well, at the time, I think they were doing a version of it, weren't they, in the Logan lineup. I think it wasn't FX, it was a CNC. So before Frederick Axelson went to work for his own company, started his own company FX, he used to work for a company called CNC.
That's right.
And they made the original version of the
Logan Axor.
The Logan Axor, that's right. And that was the first rifle. When he worked at CNC, that was a rifle they made. And then when he left CNC to start his own company, that link carried on with Logan and Airgun Sports and Webley, and carried on until eventually they all died off together, I think. But that's designed to clip in like an assault weapon.
Yeah, so you've got 2 8-shot mags, as you can see, held in with some plates, and you basically load the 2 mags, fire the 8 shots with the bolt action, and when you finish, you just take it out, turn it round, put it back up again, and you get another 8 shots. So that's where the 16 came from. Do you know what? It was such a shame that they didn't get it right, because the one, in fact, they were so bad. The early ones that we stopped selling them, they were shocking.
Well,
and if it wasn't
back,
if it wasn't for leaks, it was because of user problems where people wouldn't close the bolt and then they'd jam, and it was horrible.
There was a 20-shot prototype as well with 2 10-shot magazines.
Oh, I never saw that.
It never came out. They just did in prototype, and then everything sort of lost momentum after that.
Well, we basically stopped selling them and said, like, we don't want any more until you actually can get them, so they worked. And then they contacted us and said, like, we brought the S model out, and the S model basically did cure a lot of the issues. It didn't cure the cocking issue, but it cured most of the other issues, and actually I would say they were pretty reliable.
Yeah.
Also, another nice thing as well is that they had like a modular silencer on the front.
Yes, and we were just talking about
which was in the last video we were just talking about modular silencers. And if I just unscrew that, I don't know whether you can see, but that splits, and you used to be able to buy these pieces extra for about £12.
Yes.
So the
first one had a barrel you could see with a silencer on, didn't it?
That's right. The barrel stuck out the front.
That's right.
Yeah. Now they got this one. Yeah. In fact, actually, for a laugh, we made one of these with a 4-foot-long silencer. Probably would have cost us about £1,000 or something like that in silencer bits. But it looked, and I tell you what, it was super quiet as well. It was awesome.
Surprisingly enough.
Yeah, it was really good. I liked that idea. I thought that was really clever, to be honest with you. So that just screws on. You could just add extra pieces to it, and they used to sell those for I guess for £12 a piece. Probably cost a couple of quid to make, but you know.
Well, you got the anodizing and everything. Yeah, it's a bit of work.
Yeah. So anyway, so they brought the S out. And do you know what? Another nice little feature is it's a bugbear of yours, isn't it? Where you've got the gauge.
Great place to put a gauge, though.
All the gauges lined up.
Yeah. And it's exactly in the right place.
Modern manufacturers take note. That gauge is actually upright. I think it was something to do with this collar. They could adjust it in some way, which was really cool. And method of cocking, that used to unscrew from there, as you can see. Unscrewed that 400cc bottle.
That's right.
200 shots per charge.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, I think it was about 200 shots. 200 shots before it broke. 200 shots per charge.
Inline valve, again, a very efficient valve. Should actually do more than that, shouldn't it? You'd think it should do nearer 400 shots.
Yeah, it wasn't. I don't think it was particularly. I don't know where the inefficiencies were, but
it wasn't. What was basically a copy of a Daystate straightforward valve in there. So there's nothing special going on the valve arrangements. Slide hammer, exactly the same as conventional engineering, but with the air coming in from the back.
And then finally, like we've already said, Edgar Brothers took over the distribution of them. They made the XVI, which is just Latin for 16.
Yeah.
£895. Couldn't sell them at all, to be honest. And it's a shame as well because they put a lot of effort into redesigning it. They wanted to get it right. It had the bolt action that cured the issue with that. They still had the same magazine, but didn't sell. And I think then they ended up selling them off for about £500. And they obviously realised that it was
The one to get though.
Yeah, exactly. And funny enough, now I wouldn't say these were collectible yet, but they're getting that way. Well, that one's for sale. That's $325. So actually, really, for the money, you know, if you get one that's working correctly, so you know, if you're going to buy one of these privately, just check it out. Make sure everything's working perfectly. Try and make sure it's not leaking. But the S1 is a lot more reliable. I would definitely go for the S over the standard one. And if you can get the Edgar Brothers version, and you can put up with the horrendous weight, they're actually a really good gun to shoot. So collectability, maybe in years to come.
Well, everything in years to come, but it is a bit unique, isn't it?
It's something different. I do have a little bit of a soft spot for the S and the later one. So yeah, really interesting rifle to see. And do you know what's funny is look at the condition of that second hand. I tell you what, I don't know what it is about these, but they really do.
I've never seen a ropey one yet.
No, they stay in lovely condition. The anodizing is absolutely excellent. You know, almost a shame really to see them gone. I would love to have seen that modernised. I'd love to see what that would have turned into today. But yeah, there you go. Anyway, that's the Logan S16s.
What have we got next?
We've got actually when we were talking during the break. You were showing me where's your little rifle that you started off with? There we go.
Little carbine. This was my first air gun, second hand when I was 14. I'm going to send Andrew a photo for the inset. 14-year-old me with mirror shades, weighed about 10 stone.
Shades?
Oh yeah, in the back garden. Mirror shades and a baseball cap.
Mr. Cool.
Skinny arms.
Aviators, I hope.
Kneeling down, using this at 10 metres. Apples hanging from the apple tree.
Right.
Awesome fun. This exact same thing, Crosman 1322 medalist, 2-2. This particular one was given to me 2 years ago, just before the licensing came in Scotland.
Yeah.
Had a colleague who was chatting air guns with him, and he brought this in from his attic. It's got a tiny little bit of tarnishing on the front, but basically it's the same gun. First thing I did was Google Crosman 1322 stock. Blackpool air rifles popped up, no lie. So I ordered one. It was £10 20 years ago, and it's now 29 years ago. It's now at £20, but so much fun. Pump away. 10 pumps was about 4 foot-pounds. Tested it the other week.
Yeah.
And ignore the safety. Inherent safety. When you're ready, just cock it. Brilliant.
Yeah, you were telling me they don't all have that. Some of them have a
No,
setting.
I've currently got a Model 1300 on loan from my mate Alistair, and that you cock it, so you pump it, and just squeeze the trigger.
Yeah.
And there's no separate cocking.
It's like a sharpen over, where it self sets.
Yeah.
I've got something that's a little bit more modern. Funnily enough, actually that's the reason why I wanted to show you that, because let's hold that up, and then we've sort of got something.
It's the same.
It's sort of
a bit of a different in weight.
It's the same but different in lots of unique ways.
But look at the engineering in this.
Oh yeah,
it's just amazing. Isn't
anyway,
it?
people have been asking me about the Leshiy for ages and asking me to do a review, and it's actually it's been really difficult. The reason I haven't done a review is because I import them. And I sort of feel like it's a little bit dodgy me actually reviewing my own.
I think someone in this room, not too far from you, might have been pestering you for ages.
Yeah.
To review one for the magazine.
Yeah, maybe. Well, actually, the problem with these is actually getting enough of them. Yeah. It's been really difficult. We've had a lot of back orders. Anyway, I haven't done a review on it because it just seems a little bit wrong for me to review my own thing that I'm importing.
I'll do it.
But I love. Do you know what? It's so unique. This is the Edgun Leshiy. This is a Gen 2 one. And actually this has got a few unique features as well about this. Well, it's got loads of unique features. Where the hell do you start?
Yeah.
In fact, actually, do you know, I have a horrible feeling this is going to actually end up being 2 videos because we're not going to get through everything. But anyway, let's get going. Should we go from front to back or what?
Start at the back.
Right, let's start at the back. So basically, the Gen 2 one now has got an EDMU digital gauge. You're probably not going to be able to see this on the video, but basically if you press that on, let's obviously press that on, we have now got a lovely little thing with the Edgun logo, the little dog, and it's got a. Have you seen that?
Yes, it's got the pressure in
Digital. How cool's that?
They've been working on miniature digital pressure gauges for years. I remember sort of 15 years ago, Antwerp had a go.
Pulsar now.
Pulsar has one, but that's part of the electronic system, so it can show what it likes.
Okay.
But that is a standalone digital.
You can actually
pressure
buy
gauge.
these as a separate
That's
item
right.
and screw them in. If you've got an older Leshiy, you can actually get. If you
So
want
that
to.
means it's 8 BSP, so it's a standard thread. Yeah.
Which means it might be.
It'll go into anything as long as the hole's big enough. It's a bigger diameter than most
It's a little bit
benches.
wider.
Yeah,
It's not like the button
25 mil,
gauges.
30 mil or something like
I
that.
think that looks. Yeah, it looks like about 25 mil.
Yeah.
So it won't
Yeah.
fit where, for example, like air-armed button gauges, they're too
No.
small. But you know, if you've got, in fact, actually, if anybody's interested, I'll measure the width of that one.
What else is unique? Air cylinder. The stock is the air cylinder.
Stock is the air cylinder. You've got the charging probe there.
How neat is that?
Sorry?
How neat
It's
is that?
it's lovely, isn't it? And you were laughing about that before, actually, because you were saying that's what
That's when you hang from your lift shaft in Die Hard 1. You can use that to
Yippee-ki-yay,
clip.
yes.
Yeah, you can use that to clip. It looks like it looks like a D-ring attachment for a sling swivel
It's a
or
carabiner, yeah.
a carabiner.
Yeah.
Exactly,
Yeah.
that's the word.
I thought you could just actually hang it off your key ring.
Yes.
It's almost small. Maybe Edgun will make an even smaller one. You can do that with.
A unique USP. How do you cock it?
Well, yeah, you've basically got the cocking mechanism is basically there. So
You hold it at 90 degrees. Yeah.
it's difficult to show you for the camera. Do you want me to do it like that?
Yeah, no, that's so. Cock it that way. Keep going.
As you can see, and then that basically cocks it all the way to the back, and that closes up, and that's ready to go. And actually, the pellet goes
Straight in the breech.
straight into the breech
The barrel.
there, which is interesting.
And of course, it cannot be fired like that, and it cannot be operated like that, so
No.
it's legal.
And that's briefcase
Which
friendly
is
for the
quite
range.
clever.
So I could put that in my rucksack on my crutches, compact rucksack, and I could carry that to the range no problem.
Absolutely right.
I
You
would
could
love
hang
that.
it off the outside of the
Now
rucksack.
you've got
if you want.
you've got a reason to buy one.
Yeah. That would get your local police looking at you quite
And
strangely.
the
if you had
price
that on
tag
display.
$12.50.
Well, yeah. So basically, what we've got is this one now. We've decided to put the Huber regs in them.
Okay.
Which is going to give you about 50% more shots, which I think. Do you know what? I'm going to put it in the video because I haven't been in the shop to test these, but Andy in the shop has taken one out and tested it, and I couldn't get hold of Andy today to actually check how many shots he got out of it. But evidently, you get 50% more shots. You do get a little bit better consistency, and also as well, you don't get that little spike that you sometimes get at the end of the shots when it comes off the regulator. So these are coming. We're fitting these with the Humer regs as standard. It's taken them up a little bit in price. I think they were $11.95 and now they're $12.50. So it's a £55 extra, which seems really.
Seems
It seems like we priced it wrong, but the Humer stuff seems to be really. In fact, actually, Daystate Brokoff have been using Humer, haven't they?
And they say they've been using Humer.
So you've got a Picatinny on top for your scopes, Picatinny on the fore end for accessories, or in this case a bipod.
Yep. Just to let everybody know as well, I put a Mykonus little 3-12 on it. That doesn't come in the price, and neither does this lovely little Atlas copy bipod, which are available for about 50 quid or something like
Well,
that.
it's
So.
up to 80, depends on where you get them.
Yeah, so depending on your local retailer, in between about 50 and 80 quid.
It's a nice reticle on this scope, by the way, nice and clear.
Yeah, the corner
Little ladder.
The corner stuff's lovely. I really like the corner stuff. Also, do you know another thing? Actually, it's a bit of an aside, actually. But what I really like about the corner scopes is I like the magnification is on an angle, so you can see it.
Yeah, that's very clever, isn't it?
Yeah, I think that's a lovely little touch. I saw it on an old scope many years ago in a friend's collection. I was like, oh god, why doesn't they do that anymore? And then all of a sudden, corner stuff.
Details like that count.
I've seen that idea applied to the front
Parallax.
adjustable objective, where it's the most obvious place to put it, so you can actually see range without, or see your parallax without taking your
When
head
you
away.
see that, you think, why doesn't
But
everyone
that is
do
very
it?
clever, isn't it? That's very good. And illuminated as well.
So it's got a built-in.
Built-in silencer. You can add extra pieces onto the
I was
silencer.
going to ask that. As soon as I saw that nailed ring, I was going to ask that.
Yeah.
Okay.
What I've also seen on some of the forums is people are putting twin air tubes on them. Do you know what? This gun is a bit of a tinkerer's gun as well,
Yeah.
because people love to get
How
them.
do they do that? Alongside it, or
I've seen
underneath?
a twin cylinder converter. I don't know who does them, but I've seen it on the
Yeah.
Edgun Leshiy's owners group.
Right.
Is it on Facebook? But somebody's making a twin cylinder conversion for them. I've also said shout out to Steve Brown, stock maker, who's also making a longer pistol grip for them as well out of wood. Because you noticed as well.
Yeah. I've not picked one of these up before. I got big hands. Picked that up straight away, and I'll show you this.
Short.
You can see the heel of my hand's off it, and my third finger's just about on it. But that, just like the Crosman, the 3022 medalist, that's nice and compact. Whoops. This is live. And that's a lovely reticle and cracking little rifle.
This
is 12 foot-pounds.
Yeah, it's 12 foot-pound. We actually we saw a review done by somebody else on YouTube, and the group sizes that they got were really disappointing, to be honest with you. It's like
but they're known to be accurate, aren't they?
Yeah. So when we saw the video on YouTube, I think he compared it with an Impact. We actually took one out, and Andy took one out. In fact, Andy bought one from the shop.
Yeah.
And his group sizes, I think, were just over a centimetre at 50 metres.
Yeah,
50.
Which was really, I was indoors, I've got to say, but really, really impressive accuracy for such a little thing.
That's nice.
But anyway, make up your own mind. Yeah, that looks different, doesn't it?
Doesn't it?
Make up your own mind. Come in and have a look, or maybe read some independent reviews on YouTube to see.
Got so many USPs to it. Oh, and I remember one of your older videos. You mentioned that if you don't cock it quite all the way back, it won't automatically put the safety on.
That's right.
Cool. So your safety is basically manual.
Yeah.
Beautiful piece of engineering.
If you wanted to, but they actually recommend you cock it all the way, to be honest with you, just for the mechanism.
Cool.
Yeah, I think it's such a lovely piece of kit that we decided we wanted to import them, and it's something unique.
Okay.
But there you go. There's the Leshiy. There are like other reviews, shooting reviews. I think to be honest with you, we'll do a shooting performance review when we get the range sorted out.
It's definitely one to try, isn't it?
Definitely, yeah. I think it's a really interesting piece of kit. Price wise, at the moment, this is £1,250. It's not cheap. We know it's not cheap. It's such a unique and interesting piece of kit. Like I say, make your own mind up. You know, people are going to say, "Oh, it's too expensive," but you know what? It's up to the individual, isn't it, really, whether they think it's expensive or not. But I think it's a lovely piece of kit. Right, okay, well, we've run out of time, unfortunately. I wanted to talk more about the Leshiy, but there you go, we've run out of time for today.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, we're more than welcome. It's been absolutely brilliant.
Brilliant to meet you both.
So I hope you've enjoyed this episode. Hopefully next week we might have another special guest on.
Yeah, I hope so.
And also as well, I spoke to Claire this morning from Air Arms, and Claire said that she would come on the show. So I'm telling everybody, so now she can't back out of it. So hopefully Claire from Air Arms is going to come on.
So get your questions in.
Thank you very much for watching.
Cheers.
See you soon. Bye.
Hi, I'm Steve from the British Shooting Show. Come and see us in February next year, 2019. We'll have wider aisles, more space, and a bigger and better show. Thank you.